US lies and threats, and what will also be included in that will be a report back from Dermot, who's recently been to the DPRK and he's been the only visitor there in the last 5 years. So that will be very significant, and obviously we have some questions after that as well. So, US imperialist aggression and hostility towards the DPRK continues to intensify with an escalation of lies and threats. A new propaganda offensive has been unleashed to justify US military aggression. In this new Cold War, the DPRK is portrayed as the aggressor, described as a rogue state, part of the axis of evil, a pariah, a communist tyranny, and a threat to world peace and humanity. Relations with Russia and Iran are extensively criticised and condemned. For over 6 decades, the DPRK has been subjected to US military intimidation, provocations, threats, and extensive sanctions to politically isolate and destroy the DPRK economy. The US warmongers want to destroy the DPRK. US imperialism's campaign against the DPRK is part of its plans for military expansion in Asia to protect its strategic economic interests. Escalating tensions and the risk of confrontation in the South and East China Seas by encouraging their lackeys to dispute and assert territorial claims against those made by China. The US has over 25,000 active military forces in South Korea and 9 major bases. It's a force of occupation, domination, and represents an existential threat to the DPRK. South Korea's military budget is one of the highest in the world, and the US remains its leading foreign supplier of military hardware, with Seoul procuring sophisticated systems like the F-35 stealth fighter, unmanned spy planes, and improved versions of Patriot missiles. However, it's also now one of the world's major arms suppliers. The propaganda offensive involves hostile rhetoric, intimidation, threats, and provocations. In South Korea, inflammatory developments include the establishment of a North Korean Defectors Day and a North Korean Human Rights Center. That is an absolute absurdity, considering the Republic of Korea's appalling human rights record with a legacy of bloodshed against its own people, the vilification and bloody repression of trade unionists involved in police and government brutality, economic exploitation with horrific work conditions, especially for migrant workers, and some of the world's longest working hours. And now, in 2024, due to the severity of deprivation and hopelessness of South Korean workers, the country has the ignominy of having the highest suicide rate in the whole world. The propaganda war uses disinformation and defamation to condition and manipulate public opinion. Defector stories continue to be churned out with lurid stories of those who have allegedly escaped the torture and tyranny of the DPRK. It's like the account of Tim Cho, who allegedly escaped twice from the DPRK. Cho's parents allegedly escaped to South Korea, leaving him aged 9 to fend for himself on the streets of Pyongyang. It gets better, Barry. It's much better, I tell you. Cho's taste for freedom was unfortunately cut short in China, so the poor reads, as he was about to flee to Mongolia. Sent to a detention centre, he was returned to the DPRK. So where do you think Cho lives now? Some of you might know the answer to this one, but where do you think he lives now?
America.
Oh, you're going to love this. He's made a new life for himself in Denton, Manchester. And has proudly stood as a Tory councillor. He's told the papers how he loves fish and chips, football, a full English breakfast, and a pint in Wetherspoons. So, fact or fiction, you decide. The DPRK is subjected to intense and sustained hostility by the bourgeois imperialist media. Last Friday, a video emerged claiming to show a North Korean soldier captured in Kursk. The video was released on a pro-Ukrainian channel showing an individual lying in his bed with his face wrapped in bandages, claiming to be the sole survivor of a battle in Kursk. He said there were about 40 of us, but all are dead. Unsurprisingly, the authenticity of the video has not been verified. And even Zelensky disputed the report in an interview